A recently surfaced clip involving Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk, has stirred up a storm on social media. However, the greater concern isn't solely the footage, it revolves around reports of Robinson's current predicament. Authorities are evaluating whether he poses a danger to himself or others, and if circulating information regarding his prison conditions is true, it seems Robinson may not live long enough to stand trial. Let's delve into the details, but before that we welcome you to The Killer Next Door, where we peel back the layers of the darkest human stories to uncover the truths that haunt us. Today, we explore the unthinkable transformation of Tyler Robinson, from a shy, intelligent kid to a radicalized killer, and the heartbreaking choice his family made to stop him. Through exclusive insights from their interviews, digital evidence, and expert analysis, we'll reveal a portrait of a young man consumed by online extremism, a family torn apart by betrayal, and a nation grappling with the specter of political violence. If you're ready to dive into a story that's as complex as it is chilling, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and join us as we unravel Tyler Robinson, the quiet son who became a political assassin, the assassination and subsequent search. The viral dissemination of footage tied to Tyler Robinson, suspected in the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, has led to heightened scrutiny regarding one of the most politically charged killings in recent memory. This footage, which features Robinson in a controlled area of Utah County Jail, has incited widespread speculation concerning both his treatment and the plethora of unresolved questions surrounding the assassination. To grasp the significance of this situation, one must trace the events that unraveled leading to Kirk's demise, Robinson's capture, and the intensive narrative clash that ensued across political, media, and digital realms. On September 10th, Charlie Kirk was set to speak at Utah Valley University for what was anticipated to be a routine campus debate. The atmosphere was charged with excitement as the 31-year-old founder of Turning Point USA and key Trump supporter prepared to deliver his American comeback tour address to nearly 3,000 attendees gathered in the university's courtyard. This event was designed as a celebration of conservative values, resonating with patriotism in the heart of Mormon Utah. Kirk thrived on campuses, engaging in fierce debates with liberal students, promoting his anti-woke agenda, and effortlessly tossing branded hats into the enthusiastic crowd, who thunderously chanted, "USA! USA!" Security measures were relatively lax, featuring merely a dozen TPUSA staff and UVU officers, devoid of metal detectors, operating under the assumption that the gathering would be all about celebration. However, at precisely 12:23 p.m., the festive spirit turned grim. The timeline that followed the emergency calls depicted scenes of pandemonium and confusion. Did Kirk speak, or are you reporting that he just got shot in the head? What's the address? UVU. What just happened? He's a well-known speaker, Charlie Kirk. I just witnessed the attack. Everyone's in a frenzy. The entire UVU crowd is fleeing. A single .3006 round from a bolt-action Mauser rifle, fired from around 150 yards away on a rooftop, struck Kirk in the neck mid-address. The chilling precision of that shot is undeniable. One bullet marked the end of one bright future. As Kirk crumpled on stage, his security tried desperately to protect his body, with blood pooling beneath him amidst the chaos. He was rushed to Timpanogos Regional Hospital by 12:25 p.m., but despite medical efforts, he was pronounced dead at 2:40 p.m. due to massive blood loss from a severed carotid artery. The conservative movement mourned the loss of one of its promising young leaders, as America once again witnessed a horrifying act of political violence. The suspect, who would later be named Tyler Robinson, ran from the scene. Surveillance footage placed him arriving hours earlier in a gray Dodge Challenger, lurking before Kirk's appearance and later changing outfits to avoid capture. Following the attack, he messaged his roommate via Discord, instructing him to recover the rifle used in the incident, which he had hidden in nearby foliage, wrapped in a towel. These messages were documented and subsequently utilized as evidence of his premeditated intent. Law enforcement closing in was aided by Robinson's own father, who recognized him from FBI images circulated nationwide. As reported by CBS and ABC News, Robinson's father coordinated with a youth pastor linked to U.S. Marshals to facilitate his son's surrender by 10 p.m. on September 11th. This undeniable role of his father in curtailing the manhunt highlighted the family's acknowledgement of his actions. "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We apprehended him." By the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson contacted a family friend, who alerted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with details that Robinson had confessed, either overtly or implicitly, to his involvement in the incident. His capture prompted a new round of scrutiny regarding the motive behind his actions. Speculation varied widely, suggesting reasons from ideological extremism to personal grievances and mental health issues. What drove Charlie Kirk's shooter? The theories surrounding his motives are plentiful, and so clouded with mystery. Importantly, despite being raised in a staunchly pro-gun, MAGA environment, this trajectory did not deter Robinson from becoming an assassin. What we do know is that Robinson harbored animosity toward Kirk, something we can ascertain with certainty. Interpretations diverged sharply. Some aligned Robinson with far-right factions disillusioned by Kirk's approach, whereas others cited the influence of his partner, who was undergoing gender transition, as a contributing factor. Furthermore, several insisted that the case was a straightforward product of radicalization via online communities. All of these perspectives further complicate the political narrative. Right-wing commentators portrayed it as ideologically motivated leftist violence, while left-wing figures pointed to the hypocrisy of a gun-drenched MAGA upbringing that failed to prevent such actions. Donald Trump himself contributed to the partisan framing at a Washington vigil hosted at the Kennedy Center, stating, "The issue lies with the left. People tend to say the problem is rooted in the right, but it's not. When considering the so-called agitators, those disrespecting our economy, the ones burning the American flag, that's the left, not us." Further debates erupted aside from the divisive discussions regarding motives. The very nature of the shooting drew intensive examination. Robinson had fired a shot from roughly 142 yards, striking Kirk in the head. Some speculated this level of marksmanship necessitated professional training or possibly even classified execution by military entities. However, analysts on platforms like YouTube dismissed this theory, demonstrating the feasibility of such shots with standard rifles and scopes. 3 rounds at 142 yards. All 3 were on-target hits without question. I achieved all 3 headshots with my most affordable rifle scope at that distance on my first try. Such clarifications regarding shooting mechanics stifled sensational conspiracy theories while failing to dampen speculation. At the same time, viral footage showcased Robinson fleeing the scene, injuring himself after leaping from a rooftop, and later limping through a parking lot. Observers suggested that these images, paired with purported hand gestures by individuals near Kirk on stage, implied both collaboration and perhaps a more sinister agenda. A particular analysis highlighted military-like signals exchanged among men behind Kirk, igniting queries about possible security failings or covert planning. I observed a man in the back using hand signals. The distinct palm-down motion appeared to mean cease firing. Faster movements indicated to ramp up the rate of shots fired, while slower gestures were perceived to slow down. Despite a lack of evidence, such claims piled up across social platforms, fostering distrust in the official accounts of events. Eyewitness narratives made the event's depiction even more layered. The last person to engage with Kirk before the shooting remembered the scene vividly. In the moment, I recalled questioning whether he'd even run a statistical analysis on that. essentially emphasizing he bore the burden of proof. I was midway through my statement when it all unfolded. This precise recollection illustrates that Kirk was not lost in aimless crossfire. He was distinctly targeted, cementing this incident as an assassination rather than merely a mass shooting. By the time Robinson was taken into custody, public outrage had already fragmented along ideological lines. For Kirk supporters, the murder was framed as a politically driven attack against free speech and conservatism, the evolution of an assassin. To comprehend how Tyler James Robinson transformed into Charlie Kirk's killer, we must first glimpse into his life before that irrevocable September morning shifted him from high school honor student to a figure of infamy. Tyler Robinson's story is not of obvious warning signs or clear indicators of radicalization. Rather, it's a troubling account of how even promising youths can succumb to ideological malice amid our increasingly polarized online climate. Tyler Robinson was born in 2003 in southwestern Utah, raised within what many would deem the perfect American family. His parents, Matthew Carl Robinson, who managed a stone countertop enterprise, and Amber Denise Jones Robinson, a social worker assisting individuals with disabilities, epitomized middle-class respectability. A registered Republican household heavily involved with their local Mormon church, they brought up their 3 sons in a 6-bedroom suburban home, valued at roughly $634,400 near Zion National Park. Tyler stood out, intelligent, reserved. He never caused uproar. The Robinson family personified conservative values in every way possible. Their social media profiles showcased wholesome family outings, excursions to Alaska, the Caribbean, Disneyland, school plays. Nobody would see anything unusual. Of course, there were distant photos showing boys with rifles during outdoor adventures, a common sight in Utah's firearm-friendly environment, where regular hunting licenses for Matt and Amber were standard. Academically, Tyler excelled. He achieved a flawless 4.0 GPA in middle school, thrived at Pineview High School in St. George, completing 4 college-level courses and advanced placement calculus during his senior year. His ACT score hit 34, placing him in the top 1% nationally, garnering a $32,000 presidential scholarship to Utah State University. While Tyler was slightly shyer than most, he was far from socially inept. From kindergarten on, he confidently engaged his teachers, surrounded by a circle of friends who adored him. He was generally kind, respectful, and genuine, a student beloved by his educators, and thus his evolution felt shocking to peers who found it plain unprecedented. Yet beneath the immaculate image lay shifts that began to surface after his initial semester at Utah State University in fall 2021, after which he didn't return. The reasons remain murky, however. Friends noted escalating introversion. By 2022, Tyler pivoted towards practical training, enrolling as an electrical apprentice at Dixie Technical College and securing his electrician license. Although this transition from a prestigious academic track to trade work appeared straightforward, it didn't spark alarms. It simply resonated with his introverted nature and the local job market. Colleagues at his apprenticeship recognized him as reliable yet shy. However, his growing isolation should have raised red flags. Classmates observed his increasingly reclusive demeanor, blasting music alone at home, steering clear of social interactions. Past acquaintances who would meet him in places like Walmart noted he'd become even more reserved, hesitant to connect as before. Tyler's immersion into the digital realm, indulging increasingly in gaming culture, pulled him deeper into isolation. An obsession with games like Halo and Call of Duty led him to spend countless hours on Discord and online forums. Initially, his online presence revealed little out of the ordinary, just the usual gaming snippets, family dynamics, and typical social media activities devoid of extremist content. Yet politically, a profound shift began with increasing intensity over time. Family members disclosed to investigators that he had grown more politically aware in recent years, moving from apathetic elector onto his family's aligned stance. Unlike his Trump-enthusiastic family, Tyler hadn't cast a vote during the impactful 2024 election and remained unaffiliated. The turning point was catalyzed by a romantic bond he shared with his roommate, Lance Luna Twiggs, a 22-year-old transgender individual. Having been ejected from their devout Mormon home in their teens for defying religious attempts to realign their gender identity, Luna provided vital counterpoints of view regarding conservative views on LGBTQ issues in the life of their apartment in St. George. This bond likely orchestrated Tyler's clash with different political worlds. Luna's social media presence reflected struggles regarding Trump's re-election alongside experiences with transphobia in conservative circles. Tyler was perhaps confronted with the direct impacts behind the anti-trans rhetoric that Charlie Kirk espoused heavily as part of his political persona. In the latter stages of August 2025, during a family dinner, Tyler's political transformation became alarmingly clear. A family member recounted Tyler's noticeable leanings, where he expressed distaste for Charlie Kirk and his ideology. This moment was pivotal, signifying a radical break from his family's conservative beliefs. Over time, coworkers noted a behavioral shift in Tyler. He started energetically departing political discussions, skirting these topics, an indicator now viewed as crucially significant. Little out of the ordinary, just the usual gaming snippets, family dynamics, and typical social media activities devoid of extremist content. Yet politically, a profound shift began with increasing intensity over time. Family members disclosed to investigators that he had grown more politically aware in recent years, moving from apathetic elector onto his family's aligned stance. Unlike his Trump-enthusiastic family, Tyler hadn't cast a vote during the impactful 2024 election and remained unaffiliated. The turning point was catalyzed by a romantic bond he shared with his roommate, Lance Luna Twiggs, a 22-year-old transgender individual. Having been ejected from their devout Mormon home in their teens for defying religious attempts to realign their gender identity, Luna provided vital counterpoints of view regarding conservative views on LGBTQ issues in the life of their apartment in St. George. This bond likely orchestrated Tyler's clash with different political worlds. Luna's social media presence reflected struggles regarding Trump's re-election alongside experiences with transphobia in conservative circles. Tyler was perhaps confronted with the direct impacts behind the anti-trans rhetoric that Charlie Kirk espoused heavily as part of his political persona. In the latter stages of August 2025, upon investigation, the FBI later uncovered telltale signs of Robinson's obsession. His browser history showcased keen tracking of Kirk's public calendar, extensively noting details regarding the UVU event, viewing maps and layouts leading to the event. Such digital traces formed a cohesive picture of meticulous premeditation. On September 9th, only a day ahead of the tragic action, he purportedly told the Contact, "I was presented with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to eliminate Charlie Kirk because of deep-seated, non-negotiable hatred." Amongst other items found was a partially destroyed handwritten note expressing intentions to confront Kirk directly. Perhaps most hauntingly, following the shooting, Tyler confessed to a Discord gaming group, "Hey folks, I bring bad news. I was the one at UVU yesterday. I deeply regret everything." He skewed the attention into surrendering with plans narrated through a friend in law enforcement, indicating he had arranged his own capture in advance. Tyler's intricate motivations further unfurled under scrutiny, particularly via the engraved bullet casings prepared in advance. These markings unveiled inclusions such as Bella Ciao, the Italian anti-fascist anthem, "Hey Fascist, Catch," while mirroring gaming-related expressions. This collage hinted at an unsettling blend of leftist sympathies intertwined with internet meme culture, creating a convoluted ideological makeup that defied simple labeling. Complicating matters was speculation about Tyler's potential connections to the Groypa movement, a white nationalist sector keen on targeting Kirk for perceived moderation on issues like Israel and LGBTQ rights. A family picture showing Tyler with a familiar Gopnik pose indicated ties to Groypa meme culture. This raised alarming questions regarding the chance that the assassination might have stemmed from far-right dissatisfaction with Kirk, rather than clear leftist opposition. The metamorphosis of Tyler Robinson signifies one of the most concerning manifestations of contemporary political radicalization. His experiences shed light on how even individuals reared in nurturing, stable families, firmly rooted in religious and community life, can be ensnared by fiery ideological extremism fueled by personal grievances, the online echo chambers, and the proximity to deadly weapons. Now, as Tyler Robinson sits confined within his Utah County jail cell, under constant protection due to worries regarding his mental health and risk of self-harm, investigators labor to piece together the elements surrounding his radicalization. Once touted as having CEO potential, he now faces a dismal future within the clutches of the American criminal justice apparatus, facing charges that could lead to life imprisonment or execution. Thus far, Tyler Robinson's swift journey from Utah Valley University's rooftop to the confines of Utah County Jail epitomizes one of the fastest declines from freedom to incarceration in contemporary crime records. Within an astounding 33 hours after pulling the trigger that claimed Charlie Kirk's life, the 22-year-old presenter found himself confronting the stark realities of criminal justice, charged with crimes that could eventuate in life bans or capital punishment. Robinson's debut in court took place on September 16, 2025, via a video link from his cell. The persona displayed instantly contrasted sharply from the burgeoning young man his family and teachers used to know. Those witnessing his mugshot noted what many termed a drugged-out appearance, igniting clamor for toxicology assessments, spurring further concerns regarding his mental state. Facing charges including aggravated murder, felony firearm discharge, and obstruction of justice, Robinson's allegations could lead him down the path to execution. Utah prosecutors communicated a desire for the strictest potential repercussions, with the state's execution methods comprising lethal injection, firing squad, or electrocution. Robinson's detention conditions reflect both the seriousness of the alleged offenses as well as worries concerning his mental health. Presently housed in the Special Housing Unit of Utah County Jail, he is subjected to unwavering monitoring by mental health, medical, and correctional teams, a directive reserved for higher-risk inmates, stemming from the magnitude of his suspected crime and both the potential for violence and rumors surrounding suicidal ideation. This is the Utah County Jail, where Robinson resides currently, under tight supervision as they try to decide if he poses a threat to himself or those around him. The incident reignited discussions about online radicalization and the influence of social media on political violence, revealing how connected atrocities transform enthusiastic youngsters into aggressors. Yet, deeply unsettling parallels exist in Tyler Robinson's case accompanying that of the foiled assassination attempt against Donald Trump 1 year prior. The uncanny similar narratives linked to Thomas Matthew Crooks, who attempted to shoot Trump, and Tyler Robinson display a perplexingly disturbing trend in politically driven violence across America. Both individuals belong to the younger demographic of conservative Republicans. 20-year-old Crooks hailed from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, while 22-year-old Robinson originated in St. George, Utah. Raised by families that embodied classic American values, they had access to familial firearms, growing up in environments where adept marksmanship was commonplace. The grounding tactics displayed in both are haunting. Each selected elevated locales to fire upon targets from political gatherings. Crooks unleashed multiple rounds from one warehouse roof during Trump's rally in Butler, while Robinson executed a singular shot from Lewis Center's roof during Kirk's UVU gathering. Security lapses were aptly exploited in both cases, as both shooters capitalized on unsecured scenes that necessitated monitoring yet were failed to do so. Rather, neither had undergone training in military or law enforcement. Nonetheless, both displayed an ability to fulfill gunshots that many considered the realm of qualified expertise. However, firearms specialists indicate the distances. To target a man from 130 yards with Crook's method and 142 yards with Robinson are manageable for anyone wielding basic skill sets with suitable equipment. Frankly, I argue that any person on Earth, even someone with no prior experience, could develop the marksmanship necessary to make that shot within an hour of practice with basic guidance. The psychological profiles of these two shooters exhibit disconcerting echoes within their routes to violent madness. Descriptions of both reveal them as quiet, high-performing students distancing themselves socially as they became engrossed in online gaming communities, setting them apart from family interactions. Most crucially, both pointed their aggression at ideological figures within the conservative circles functioning and influential in their histories. This alarming trend of insider attacks, where the outbreak stems from within conservative enclaves rather than being strictly based on external adversaries, qualities a particularly worrying evolution in American political violence. While Trump's administration quickly condemns Robinson's assault as stemming from leftist extremism, truth carries nuances like all its branches. Both shooters showcase signs of ideological confusion rather than clear partisan allegiance, with Crooks being a registered Republican who had financially backed a Democratic cause while Robinson started from a supportive Trump family yet bore resentments about Kirk. Their drives hint towards a yearning for relevance and a rejection of well-established conservative figures prevalent rather than indicating steadfast, coherent political rationale. Engravings found on Robinson's casings provided insight into the conflicted political maps shaping his thoughts. The aesthetic collision of anti-fascist motifs like Bella Ciao intertwined with gaming tags and far-right dialogues illustrated the mental landscape of an individual echoing the toxicity of online culture over starkly defined political affiliations. The revelations regarding substantial connections emerging amongst these events indicate evolving threats toward public leaders divergent from substantial norms. Conventional security practices oriented on external adversarial challenges risk failure when aggression surfaces amid circles wherein complementary figures ostensibly exist. These developments show that the gravest menaces emerge from those that felt abandoned or disenfranchised by the very movements they previously cherished. Both cases exhibit the defining influence of social media and the virtual spheres in the radicalization process present in teenagers. The access for secluded individuals to find validation amidst violent forms of thought online, along with divulged specifics surrounding public figures' schedules and their security parameters, fashions a precarious territory favorable for possible aggressors. For Tyler Robinson, individually, the horizon appears grim, whether he is sentenced to death or life in prison. Should he receive the death penalty, he'd encounter a prolonged encounter spanning over decades, possibly placed on death row as appeals circulate through the judiciary, a procedure likely spanning longer yet given the case's incredibly public nature. The protocols outlined under Utah's capital punishment provide him execution alternatives: lethal injection, firing squad, or the electric chair should the latter become warranted. Alternatively, if Robinson earns life imprisonment, he'd anticipate 50 to 60 years before he would find a chance at freedom, this, presuming he survives long enough, warranting societal reintegration toward a typical and lengthy lifespan. His youth may affirmably generate some sympathy at the moment of sentencing, yet it equally signifies potential encasement within institutional walls for his perceived eternity. The psychological weight affixed to such a sentence, undertaking a gracious transition from famed promise through academia to maximal security solitary confinement, may unleash devastating currents of emotional distress, conclusively, be it by execution or incarceration for life. Tyler Robinson's identity shall remain irrevocably for instilling one of the most shocking acts of political menace in our contemporary American chronicles. What do you think? Could the Robinsons have stopped Tyler sooner? What role does social media play in fueling extremism? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and tell us where you're watching from: Utah, New York, London, Sydney, Texas, Florida, Dubai, or beyond. If this story shook you, hit that like button, subscribe to The Killer Next Door for more deep dives into the cases that define our times, and share this video to spark a conversation about preventing tragedy. For the Robinsons, for Charlie Kirk, and for a nation on edge, let's learn from this pain. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.